Alright, welcome back to another video. This time it's a 1999 Norco Nitro. Yeah, it has suspension on the front, so we'll see how we go with that. And yeah, I'm going to try to make a mountain bike slash dirt jumper, so we'll see how we go. Hope you enjoy. Cheers. Alright, here's the bike, got it back home. Yeah, everything was pretty good when I rode it. All the gears kind of changed smoothly, except for going to the biggest ring. That had a little bit of problem, so I'm going to try and fix that. Yeah, you can see it's a Dior LX group set mainly. You can see someone shift out the right shifter there, and then yeah, just a little Stigma computer mount. I'm going to chuck them in probably. Yeah, you can see all the bolts are pretty rusted through. This cool little Diatech clamp that helps the headset to stop slipping. And then you can see, yeah, just the LX brakes here, V brakes. But you can see, yeah, it's pretty rusted. I'm going to try and clean those up a bit. Here, this Marzocchi bomber. You can see it works pretty well actually, so I was pretty happy about that. It's Z4, so a little bit of a later model. But yeah, everything worked pretty well. You can see the gear cables are still silver, which is a good sign. You can see there's some kinks there, so I'll be replacing those. Some scratches on the top tube there, but yeah, everything was pretty decent, I think. Yeah, aluminum frame, 7005, whatever that means, I'm not sure. But yeah, club roost, bottle cage there. I think they made components back in the day. This LX crank with the SPD. I'm going to change out that SPD to flat pedals. LX front mech. But yeah, you can see just some scratches and stuff on the frame, but overall it's good. Someone switched out the rear mech to be XT. LX brakes on the back again. But yeah, try and clean those up. Hopefully the rust comes off. But yeah, pretty good overall. This giant saddle, and then came with a little toe peak saddlebag. You can see the sun rims and LX front hub, LX rim on the back, and a Joytech rear hub. So someone switched out the back wheel, but had these Maxxis Larson TT tires, which were both mounted on backwards. So I don't know if that's some type of trick tip or he wanted it like that. And then yeah, just 18.5. Just showing you the bolts here, pretty rusted, so hopefully they don't give me any problems when I take them off. And then designed manufactured in Canada. But yeah, all these bolts, you can see some corroding as well. This cool Tange top cap with that cool logo. And yeah, that's basically it. So we're going to break it apart and see how we go. Alright, here we go. So I got the bike on the stand, and yeah, laid out some of the tools that you need. So yeah, just like a brush to brush off all the dirt. This is my chain breaker here. Cable cutters, pliers if you need it. Bottom bracket tool, or crank tool, sorry. You need your bottom bracket tool too. But yeah, some other wrenches and Allen key set, and then you should be fine. A little tip from me here, what I do is if the bolts are kind of rusted through like this, or pretty rusted, I get a little bit of WD-40 and just soak all the bolts kind of overnight. You don't have to do it overnight, but you can soak them for a little bit to make them a little bit easier to get off. And I find that helps a lot. But yeah, you can see most of the bolts were pretty rusted, so yeah, hopefully they come off okay. Yeah, here, same thing with the bottle mount bolts here. You can see some of the white corrosion on the aluminium here. So yeah, we'll see how that works. And then yeah, here just putting a little bit more WD-40. Pretty simple, just put a few drops and let it soak. Alright, taking the bike apart. So yeah, the first issue that I had was taking off the chain. It was a quick link and I didn't have a quick link tool. But what I ended up doing was I just got an old spoke and then just wrapped it around and just tightened it up until with pair of pliers till it kind of came off. And yeah, that was pretty straightforward. Everything else was pretty fine. You can see I'm just taking off all the cables here. I usually just put them in a bag or put them in a box. Just keep everything together so you don't lose anything. Here, be careful of little attachments on the end of the cable. Don't lose those because you might not notice them, but they might be on the end of a shifter or end of a derailleur, and then you find yourself needing that bit a bit later. So yeah, just try and keep everything together. Here, just taking off the brakes, taking off the wheel. Pretty straightforward here. I think basically just one Allen key. Here I took off the pedals while the bike was on a stand. Usually it's a bit easy if you take the pedals off first, but it was fine this time. And then just taking off the stem there. I think there were a few parts that were kind of tight, but just take your time and put a bit of WD-40 in there if it gets a little bit tight, and then just be careful when you loosen it so don't break anything. Here, saying that, here taking off the crank, I had to put a little bit of pressure here with the hammer to get that bolt off. When you're using a hammer, just make sure you start off tapping lightly before you hammer away, because you could easily break something. But that seemed to work for me. And then with taking the cranks off, make sure you put the crank puller all the way in and tighten it a little bit, just to make sure it's fully seated in there before you try to pull the crank off, so you don't wreck your threads. But overall that was pretty straightforward. Everything came off. I was pretty happy. All the bolts came off as well, no problem with the corrosion. Here you can see this is probably the major issue I had with the bike, was taking off the bottom bracket. So the left side came off pretty easily, but then the right side was like really tough. And this is the left side, so what I ended up doing was putting WD-40 and penetrating oil on that little gap there, just hoping it would kind of seep through to the other side. And of course I put it on the right hand side as well, and then just try to muscle it off. I'd soak it for a little bit and try to turn it, clean it a little bit, a little bit more penetrating oil. But it was like super tight, and it was hard to kind of get leverage to pull it off as well. Here you can see I'm actually using the hammer a little bit. That didn't loosen it as well, so I just ended up letting it soak a little bit more. Here when it was soaking, basically what you can do is I just took off the grips and the shifters and the levers, and they came off no problem actually. But here back working on the bottom bracket again. Sometimes things come off easy, sometimes they don't. You never know. So what I ended up doing was I just needed more leverage, and it was kind of awkward to do it on the ground there. So what I ended up doing, and I've done this before, but basically taking my stand apart and using the inside tubing as a breaker bar, and then I just wrapped the shifter in just an old rag to kind of stuff it in there so it's kind of tight, and then it came loose, and then I just ended up doing this for a while, and then just to loosen it, it was it was still super tight, even though I used the breaker bar. And then I put more penetrating oil in there, more WD-40, and then yeah, basically I kept taking off kept taking the shifter out, and I was like, oh, it's got to be loose enough so I can take off the shifter. But yeah, I had to keep using the breaker bar. For some reason, it was just so tight. I think another tip people use here is they apply heat to it as well to help expand the metal a little bit so it can loosen. But I just end up using the brake bar tool, and it finally came out. So yeah, I was happy with that. But you can see the inside here all kind of corroded through. I don't know if that's salt or whatever, but yeah, it was pretty gross. So I'm going to try and clean that up too. And then inside the bottom bracket, yeah, kind of all gunked up there. But yeah, it came out, so I'm happy. Yeah, and that's it. You can see fully broke down the bike. I left the headset cups in there, but I'll give them a clean. But yeah, everything kind of came out, brakes, the levers. Gonna take these parts and you know, give them a clean, try and restore the frame a little bit, you know, maybe service the forks, see how we go, and yeah, that'll be the next video. Alright, that's the video. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing these parts. Yeah, thanks for watching, and if any comments, leave them for me below. See ya.